morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time. We know that that's difficult in your busy day. Here you are today with Bridge RI and how it can power your school improvement goals for free. Okay, so just a quick hello. My name is Nicole Bucca. I'm accompanied here by several of my colleagues. We are a small 5-person team that does MTSS work in Rhode Island. And I just wanted to give you, if you have been in the state a long time, kind of a quick, who we are and where we come from. So we used to do this work face to face, groups of 200, 300 school employees, and usually it was at Rick or Sherlock or some of the institutes of higher ed. And then just like the rest of you, COVID hit and we had to turn all of our professional development providing into online. So while you all were struggling in the schools and we were trying to do our best to support you, we created all of our trainings onto the platform called Bridge RI. And then since then, now that we're back to going face to face, we have taken all of that wonderful large group trainings that we have been able to provide in the past, turned them into courses on Bridge RI so that we can have a blended professional development model where rather than spending all of our time going school to school or district to train, you can get your training asynchronous on Bridge. And then we can come in either as consultation or coaching support, and we can build the capacity of others in the state to do the same work. And that's what we're here to share with you today. Okay, so our agenda today. First, we're going to start by framing the conversation around what is wrong with professional development and education specific to Rhode Island. We're going to talk about how we have school improvement plans, we have district improvement plans, and how Bridge, in my opinion, is a perfect fit to those processes. In addition, we want to talk about the return on investment, right? We have real fiscal constraints in schools, and your state, Rhode Island Department of Education, chose to invest in building this platform for you, for your schools, but you need to know it exists and you need to know how to use it. And finally, well, almost finally, last one, we find that a lot of trainings are just not meeting the needs of all of your staff, right? Maybe they address math teachers, but they don't address your related service providers. Maybe they address teachers, but not paraprofessionals. We have made it our goal to make Bridge RI a platform that works for all staff, every staff member in your building. And finally, we will end with how to start. Okay, so quickly, and I know you all know this, these are some of the ways that traditional professional development falls short. Let's start first with the cost, because Bridge RI presents a real fiscal opportunity for you and your district leadership. What if your school could offer expert-led, targeted professional development for every staff member in your building without spending a dollar, a dime? So when we look at the return on investment by using Bridge, if you brought in a trainer, and obviously these costs can vary, but if you brought in a trainer, and let's say the trainer was for a day, roughly the average would be a $2,000 cost. If you brought them in for a day, it's unlikely that they were available on the exact PD time that you have in your school calendar, and contract limitations might mean that you have to provide for subs. This right here is an example of what the cost can be for that one professional development opportunity. Next to this, we see Bridge RI, free, available anytime, any place. Your potential savings, at least in this example, is $3,750. And that's likely an underestimate. And I know this because I work with national experts and I know what they charge. So we can see here that the range for a minimum and maximum for a national speaker can vary all the way up to and upwards of $6,000. And we have national experts on Bridge RI. So what we did was we took our various networks nationally that you probably would call in as an individual team or an individual professional and pay them one-on-one. We paid them to produce their learning on Bridge RI so that every Rhode Island school can benefit, every Rhode Island district, and we have it here. So just like, let's take an example. Let's say you would like some co-teaching training by Dr. Terry Marks, who used to work at AIR in the Progress Center, and that's something you want to do. Now, bringing Dr. Marks in is beautiful. However, Dr. Marks also created 2 courses, well, 1 course and 1 in process on Bridge RI. So now when you pay her, you could choose to just pay her for the coaching. For the hands-on work, you don't have to pay her for the initial training. Let's say you have a RICAS issue with math word problems. Well, guess what? Dr. Sarah Powell, who has done a decade of math word problem research, she has 4 courses on Bridge RI. with a full curriculum that is provided for free. You just have to know how to use our platform, and that's what we're here for today. Oops, pardon me. Okay, the bottom line is traditional professional development costs in Rhode Island are unsustainable. We have an end to ESSER funds. Our municipalities have a 4% tax cap that includes police, fire, and water and other services as well. So already that's impossible. And we know that we are currently experiencing some federal cuts, and they are likely to continue for some time. So Bridge RI presents a wonderful fiscal opportunity. In addition, other ways PD can fall short. Often PD, when you bring somebody in, is a one-time event. One-time events in PD don't work. Also, if it's an online platform, a lot of times it's just click and play, right? I'm guilty of it. You know, you look at the quiz ahead of time, get the questions, and then you're like fast forwarding through things and you enter the questions. I know I'm a teacher. I shouldn't cheat, but that's not what Bridge RI is. Okay. We really designed it differently. Sorry for that. Keep losing my. So I'd like to show you how to use Bridge RI for professional development. First, just in case you're not super familiar with the platform, we'll take a quick 2-minute tour. This quick walkthrough shows you exactly what to expect from a Bridge RI professional learning training. Free, flexible training aligned to your school improvement goals and designed to build capacity with existing school teams. Staff can easily enroll with a single click using their district email. From there, they'll see a growing library of Rhode Island-specific modules or trainings, organized by topic and practice area, like academic Tier 1, interventions Tier 2 and Tier 3, school climate, and more. Each training clearly states its purpose and estimated completion time, usually 1 to 3 hours max. Modules are fully asynchronous, but designed to be used with PLCs. Each section within a course or training is about 20 to 30 minutes so that it can be used job embedded during common planning time. Each course includes built-in prompts that support accountability, whether through discussion, evidence sharing, or follow-up activities. Obviously, implementing with a professional learning community in cycles also contributes highly to the accountability. Inside a training, staff will find short, engaging videos, reflection questions, and ready-to-use resources. Trainings support practical application, not just theory, making them easy to link to your school improvement priorities. Upon completion, staff can instantly download a professional learning unit certificate. RI not only impactful, but fully recognized for professional growth requirements in the state of Rhode Island. Choose one training that aligns with your current school improvement goal. Try it with a professional learning community, leadership team, or onboarding group. Bridge RI supports sustainable, job-embedded PD led by the people who know your school best. So how do we use this in our school improvement systems? First, we're going to establish the adult capacity. You have a school improvement team. They're going to set a goal. We want to improve math outcomes across our school. And then your common planning teams, grade level or at the middle school, the team level, and at the high school, maybe department level, these are the people who have to actually make your school improvement a reality, right? So after you establish the adult capacity of what everybody needs to work on, now you need to gather for school improvement your baseline data. Most people start with their RICAS or their SurveyWorks for school climate or their absenteeism for school climate. And then they arbitrarily say, okay, we would like to reduce the bad and increase the good, right? If you use the RICAS over here, RICAS is only provided once a year. So your progress monitoring of your school improvement goal would only be once a year. However, in an MTSS system, universal screening tools correlate with RICAS outcomes. I want to say that again because I think it's not well known in Rhode Island that this is fact. RICAS is correlated to the outcomes on universal screening. Now, it does not mean the screening colors are equal to RICAS proficiency. That's not the case. But if your students are growing in your universal screening and getting to that high level of green, you are more likely to have proficient on RICAS, and that is demonstrated repeatedly through research. So the bottom line is do your school improvement with your MTSS universal screening, at least in reading, math, and writing. Okay, so here's an example. Baseline data. We can see here, here's my goal statement. Whenever your school improvement begins, let's say it's the fall, at the fall universal screening, I just made that up, 23% of my grade level, third grade, were not meeting benchmark on my literacy universal screener. Okay, that's an example. Either you had a school-wide root cause that you came up with, or each common planning team decided their root cause, but they have a root cause as to why they think that's happening. We have a growing multilingual learner population, and we really don't have any training about the use of language in actually, I'm sorry, I should have given you a math example because that's where the whole thing is going. So make that math and that we're worried about language and math. Now, we set our goal to be by the end of the school year, spring universal screening, we would like to see the percent of this third grade group improve in the math universal screening outcome. So you can see that really Bridge RI is presenting, and your MTSS model is presenting a full school improvement framework. A tip is to make sure you have gathered your universal screening of that cohort of kids from the year before. A lot of school districts don't know that whoever is your point person, technology-wise, in your MTSS universal screening tool has access to past years. I do find that because sometimes the building leaders don't have the level of permissions that they need. A lot of times they don't realize that they do have access to that data. If you gather the universal screening of the kids that you're talking about from the year before, you can have even more robust data analysis. Okay, too much data. Establish capacity, get a baseline. Now we're moving to job-embedded professional learning to build educator knowledge. But when, right? Oh, the ultimate problem in education, we have no time. Bridge RI was made to be flexible. You can use it anytime, any place, in your pajamas, in your dress clothes, nobody cares. It could be a summer institute, your opening day, convocation, a summertime new hire onboarding. You can also use it whole school, faculty meetings, PD days. It'd be nice if you let us know you have a PD day, just because it increases our traffic and we got to make sure we're available. And then finally, job embedded during common planning time, this is the ultimate vision of how we built it. We hope to see schools using it job embedded. Why? Because job embedded PD is the most effective. So let's go into what that could look like. So here you can see we have a school calendar. And what I did was this particular school has common planning time twice a week. And I highlighted in this kind of light pink color certain weeks that we all know educators are too busy. We're not going to worry about professional development during holiday weeks. We're not going to worry about it during universal screening, fall, winter, and spring benchmarking. We're not going to worry about it during RICAS, okay? But the rest of this school year, if we are truly a culture of continual improvement, that common planning time should be used for professional learning. And I understand there's contractual limitations and it might take you some time to get there, but allow me to give you the vision. So let's say common planning time, remember Nicole Bucka, she's on grade 3 and we're working on math. The first 2 days of common planning time, we're going to agree to do a section of a Bridge RI course on our own, asynchronously. Each teacher does it on their own. They can use their prep time, they can do it some other time. It's completely up to them, but we're going to get this section done by October 10th. Then we agree to collaborate. The next 2 common planning times, we're going to debrief with our CPT partners. There might be paraprofessionals, there might be related service providers, there might be a variety of roles, but we're going to talk about what did you learn? How does that compare to what you were taught in pre-service? How does that compare to how you teach? Oh, you see something in the curriculum that would help you do that? This particular pedagogical practice? Great, tell me more about that. We are empowering our professionals to use their expertise. Next, you can see here in the gray, we're going to apply something that we learned we're going to try out over the next 2 weeks. Then we're going to come back together in our common planning time to reflect. Oh, this worked for me. This didn't. Oh, that worked. Can you tell me about it? Can you show me that? I want to try it. So when the common planning times come back together, this is where we have empowered our staff. Our staff already have great skills. What they don't have is focus. They don't have clear roles, and they may need one new pedagogical practice, which is what Bridge RI can offer them. Then look at the remainder of the year. You're going to repeat that cycle throughout the remainder of the year. Your entire year of professional development may be 1 to 2 Bridge RI courses. And notice, please, that in the orange, see here the first week of February and the first week of June, you can use your winter and spring universal screening and MTSS systems to evaluate the impact of your new pedagogical practices. And we don't want to scale things up unless they're having impact. And I will assure you, because we vet what goes on Bridge RI, these are evidence-based practices. You will see improvements. Okay, so let's get back to that school. They have these RICAS data points. They set this goal for the next 2 years. Every grade level already knows their RICAS, so they know what it is that they're tasked with changing. Now they open up Bridge RI, okay? And sometimes the school level has picked an area of focus, like we're all going to work on universal design for learning. Okay, fine. That's an option. But you can also allow your staff, like your common planning teams, to have choice. What you're seeing here, I'll go backwards to get rid of the little cartoon. We have an array of universal tier 1 math offerings, evidence-based, created with experts, all sitting here, every different grade level. And we have interventions, evidence-based, targeted group interventions, and most of them either have the manual in the course, PD, or the manual itself is like $25 because it's not really a program, it's a collection of practices. So you can allow your staff to have a choice, which we all know choice is an engagement strategy. And again, it does not matter what your tier 1 curriculum is. Bridge RI is pedagogical. So I'm going to teach you an evidence-based literacy practice. You can apply it in any curriculum that you have. And in fact, your curriculum probably has routines that would make it work, and you just aren't using them. So it makes your curriculum even more effective. Okay, this particular common planning team said, we want to support language development and math. That's going to be our focus for the next 6 months, 8 months, a year. As I showed you in the calendar, their first session or 2 of their common planning time is going to be to complete 1 section on their own in the Bridge RI course. Now they're coming back together. Now, after they're coming back together and they've collaborated, we've built their knowledge over here. Now they have to try something on for size, they have to change their practices, and then share their implementation feedback. So the next set of common planning times, they might be talking about what worked, what didn't, and then they might be practicing. And sometimes that cycle occurs a few times before they even go back to Bridge. They try it a few times. And again, just a reminder that this is what it ends up looking like in a cycle throughout the year. So what does that mean for their educator evaluation, right? So when they're using Bridge RI for professional learning, that outcome of improving RICAS data is a long-term outcome, okay? There are short-term outcomes that come before that one, such as learning a new skill, being familiar with a new evidence-based practice, and then implementing. So I am showing you right now a way that you can measure that and put that in your educator evaluation system. So for one, you can have an implementation Likert scale. So basically, here are the practices that are in the math language course. You're going to learn about precise mathematical language. You're going to learn about how to apply cognates to your math vocabulary. You're going to learn about how to give more explicit instruction in language and use sentence stems. So when they start the course on Bridge RI, they could say, how familiar are you with this concept? Oh, I don't know anything about cognates. That wasn't in my pre-service training. I'm not knowledgeable about that. Well, okay, you're a 1. That's okay, because by the time you're done with the Bridge RI course, we would hope that you'd be a 5. The next thing is once you are knowledgeable about a particular evidence-based practice, now you need to implement. And so the second part of that pre-assessment is really how much do you use this skill currently in your day-to-day instruction? So what I'm trying to show you is during the remainder of that calendar before the next RICAS data point, you can still be measuring educator professional learning by using these Likert scales and by giving teachers, educators, staff, even paraprofessionals credit for building their knowledge and then trying new things. So we've tried it on, we've implemented, now we want to evaluate. At the end of the year, so spring universal screening, we can now take that goal that we set in the fall and see how did we do? How did our target group do? How did the outcomes overall look? And if we have the data from the previous year, from the cohort, we can look at that as well. Did the growth from this year, did it outpace the growth of that same group of kids the year before? Okay, and if it did, now we can share with our other colleagues in the school and scale up. So I hope that what you see here is that Bridge RI presents a fiscal opportunity. It's not intended to be a one-time training, one and done. Please do not just send your staff to take a course on Bridge and never work with it. It's not meant to be used that way. It is not click and play. And the final issue that we're going to show you that Bridge tries to remediate is often when you bring in professional development trainers, the professional development is not aligned. It doesn't use common language with what's going on in your building. It's not specific to Rhode Island. It might only train some groups of your staff and not others, or it might only talk about one initiative and not embed a greater framework. Bridge RI really strives to not do that. So every course on Bridge RI aligns to the Rhode Island multi-tiered systems of support framework. There is not one course where you don't start and say, where am I in this framework? We did not just build courses for teachers, like say in reading and math. We built teachers with all of your staff. We built trainings with all of your staff in mind. So these are just some examples. Related service providers are often horribly ignored in professional development, and they're amazing people and amazing skills. We have Tier 3 intensive intervention trainings. We have chronic absenteeism trainings. We have an anxiety prevention intervention that's coming soon. Special educators, there's co-teaching, there's progress monitoring for their IEPs, there's dyslexia and specially designed instruction. Paraprofessionals, we've got foundations of behavior, building student connectedness, supporting students with anxiety. Every member of your staff will find trainings in Bridge RI that meet their needs, and it's really up to you how you want to use it. And we have so many. In addition, we take great care, our team of 5 people, to collaborate with Rhode Island Department of Education. You can rest assured that we are in line with guidance and in line with state and federal regulations to the degree that we can. We put a lot of effort into that. Okay, so we want to see all your teams, every level of your district infrastructure supporting in the same direction, right? So district team at the top is going to find funding, which we told you, Bridge RI, very fiscally responsible. And they're going to remove barriers to implementation. And they're going to do that real high level data setting, right? The strategic plan. But next, the school improvement team is still pretty high level. They might say math's our goal, this group of kids, and they might evaluate beginning and end. But then the real rubber hits the road at your common planning teams. And this is where they've got the fall, winter, and spring screening, and they're going to work on their school improvement as I put forth today with Bridge RI. And we all know that while Tier 1 is king, general education, Tier 1 improvement is king, there will always be students for whom they need something more. Bridge RI has all your needs met in intervention, progress monitoring, and DBI for kids who are complex and need even more. You got new hires? No problem. Do your staff change roles and change buildings every year? No problem. Bridge RI is available for onboarding at any time, and it's not going away. So if you keep track of what professional development your building has, when you get a new hire or a new member, you can say, I need you to get caught up. You have to take these trainings. So in summary, Bridge RI has free, expert developed Rhode Island specific PD available anytime, any place. It is built to align with school and district strategic goals and a common framework. It's designed to be job embedded for professional learning, and it tracks PLUs for certification tracking. However, do keep in mind your staff has to actually download that certificate. We are not in the business of keeping statewide professional development records. So how can you get started? I would suggest one would be here. If you scan this code, you can sign up for BridgeRI's quarterly update. And what that means is once a quarter, not a lot of emails, you will know everything that is new on our platform. You can pick one training to explore with your leadership team, mimicking the model that I put forth today. The next thing you could do is to choose an innovative PLC team that you want to test drive the model and tell you how it works. And finally, for all of these above, you can contact a BridgeRI team member to ask what PD aligns with your specific school improvement goals. I really appreciate your time. I hope I didn't go too fast. I just know that you're all very busy people, so I tried to make this efficient. We do have a few minutes for Q&A. Yes. Please, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat and I will do my best to answer them. One person mentioned that co-teaching courses are especially effective when the partners engage together. BridgeRI really permits that, right? Because even if you can't do your professional development at the same time of the day, you can get the same training and then come back together to engage collaboratively. One question I did get in the pre-survey that I should have answered was, what do we have for high school offerings? And a lot of our courses are very relevant to high school. However, high school staff tend to really want the videos and examples to be only high school. And that's something that I think we're working to build in a little bit more systematically, but there are plenty of high school offerings. So a lot of our social emotional learning offerings, we've got a high school specific one. We've got a math intervention, two of them that are specific to upper middle and high school, fraction face off and math word problem intervention for rational numbers. We have the right to read awareness courses, our secondary intended.
I would say the co-teaching course is definitely a good one. We have understanding neurodiversity. Those are also good high school and middle school options.
Yes, and I think a lot of our understanding dyslexia, I would say as a high school teacher, I was a high school teacher. Any training about any differences and complexities in kids was not in our pre-service. So I think that all of those things could improve your outcomes greatly.